Well, before you enter the hive, you always got your handy smoker, which again, like I said, everybody knows what that is. You want to just put gentle amounts of soft smoke in there. You also want to try to keep your noise and your banging down to a minimum. There's always some cracking because they seal their hives with the propolis. As you can see, bees in there. You can hear the crackling of the propolis. That's actually like caulking to the bees. They'll seal that up, and that's how they do survive the winter time. They seal all the edges up. They close any opening bigger than 3/8 of an inch. Bees do not like anything bigger than 3/8 of an inch because they know that they are 3/8 of an inch, and if something's coming through their hive, it'll be them. What we'll do is, number 2 has been struggling here, so I would like to see if they have requeened properly and are starting to make me some honey for once. And I'm not seeing, unfortunately, a lot of comb activity up here. They are combing a little bit on this panel, but again, this hive is unfortunately just a little behind. But here, you see your typical, this is a medium super. And we'll just slide the trays around since we have a little time. Again, nice and slow so we don't hurt anybody if we can. And I don't know if the cameras are picking up the tone, but you can actually hear the tone in the box start to rise, and you'll know when they're upset. If you're paying attention and you listen to the bees, they will tell you how they're feeling about things. And again, I just want to get them off the edges because put their cover back on. Didn't really expect to see anything more than what I saw here today, unfortunately. Number 2 has had a very rough year, and maybe next time. But the bee population on number 2 has come back very strongly. Selfishly, I'm just not going to get any honey out of her, that's all. Alright. And if you'll notice in the front here, there's a small exit and entrance also for ventilation. But if anything ever clogged up the front entrance, they also have access to a secondary entrance. So when you put your cover on, you always want to slide it to give them the opportunity to get in the front. Okay, now this is going to be the fun one, because if we're going to see some honey, number 1 is my strong working hive right here.
What does the smoke do, Mr. Venn?
It actually tricks them into thinking that there's a fire, and they'll go back into the hive to protect or consume as much honey as they can because they're afraid they might lose their home. So they retreat inside and they start to eat the honey. Therefore, they're distracted. They could care less that I'm here. It's a diversion, a diversionary tactic, if you will. Okay. This one's a little taller. Probably going to have a few more bees in it. And this one I'm going to really take apart today. Show you how deep this really goes. Okay, again, our top cover off. Wow, look at that. 3 boxes tall and blessed with many, many bees. Now, unlike number 2 here, this hive has done nothing but produce comb and honey and more and more bees than you could possibly imagine. So what we'll do is go in here. I'm going to show you folks a little bit of what a honey tray looks like. Oh yeah. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen. I ask you, how beautiful is that? This panel alone with honey I can't get it. Could weigh as much as 7 pounds, 7 or 8 pounds of honey right there. So I have 10 of these in this small box up here. So if I can extract 7 pounds out of each one of these frames, I've had one very, very good season. Now I can times that by 3 boxes and consider it a great day. Oh, I'm so excited with what I just saw there, Gross. This just made my day. Now, as part of an experiment, I am going to go even deeper. Now, when I get down to this last box, you'll see that there's a metal screen underneath this one. This is what separates the queen from the honey chambers. I don't want honey chambers with eggs in them. So, I put this screen, which is called the queen excluder, over the top of the brood chamber, keeping the queen down in the brood chamber so she doesn't infect my honey with her eggs, and I don't take her eggs. So what I wanted to do was reverse these today by taking the queen excluder off. Ooh, that might have started me a little bit. Maintenance here. Swap the boxes. These boxes will get heavy. The frames are much larger, and these have not moved in quite some time. Up a little bit. I spent a winter studying with the Hampden County Beekeepers Association, and read books, watched movies. If I had to recommend a movie, I would say the Jerry Seinfeld bee movie is about as good and accurate as it gets regarding beekeeping and bees, and still a very funny show to watch, and you can watch it with your kids. So again, the fact that I'm taking their honey probably doesn't make them real happy right now. Now what I want to do is, I'm going to take this box and this box. These boxes. And as you can see, not light work. It's what the bees are able to produce from their glands of pollen and the secretion, whatever it is that they use. And it's just, it gets pretty scientific. I mean, if you read the books, it'll tell you all the technical jargon about it. Again, the only way that honey can be made is by bees. So, an amazing product. I wanted to move this one to the top because it didn't really have a lot of comb on it. Well, once these guys settle back in, another week or so, I'm going to come in here and harvest 3 nice boxes full of golden honey. And all that hard work I've done over the years will have very well paid off. I think the rule of thumb is if you haven't sold a jar of honey yet and exchanged money for it, you're technically not a beekeeper. So I think until I do that, I have to claim that I'm just a guy keeping bees in his backyard. That's it, guys. All right, folks, this is the part that most people wonder about. It's the actual removing of the honey from the frames. You've seen how the bees do their thing. Most people understand that part of it, but now we're going to get from these frames to those jars. What I have here is a decapping station. As you see, the frames are covered in wax, and that's what seals them. I've knocked the wax off here. That's what seals the honey and keeps it through all its time while it's with the bees. I'm going to melt those caps off with an electric knife that's going to help me to remove those caps and release the honey. What we're going to do then is take it and put it in the extractor. What we'll do is we're going to start. I'm going to take one frame at a time. I'm going to bring it up here. Take my decapping knife. I'm going to go right through the wax, melting the cappings right off so I can access the honey. This is the first time I've ever extracted honey, so bear with me a little bit while I get some sort of a method. But the knife really does most of the work for you. And the honey, being as heavy and thick as it is, stays in place longer than you would think. Here. Now, what I'm going to do, flip it around, get the other side. This side's a little fuller, probably be a little easier to decap. Oh yeah, here we go. And when we're done, and we separate the wax from this, I'll probably use the wax for some sort of a lip balm or lotion. Okay, now, dripping with honey, we're going to take it from over here right inside of our extractor. And you can see why you really don't want to do this in the house, because it will get messy. I have another one. Probably the most enjoyable way to eat honey. It almost is like candy to the kids. They love it. This method here is a little messier, but you'll find that most commercial beekeepers, this is how they will do it. You get the most amount of honey for your work, and it's really not that hard to do. A few simple tools, the heated knife, the centrifuge, a capping station, some jars, a couple of 5-gallon buckets, and you're on your way. Okay. Take this one, That one's really full of honey. And we're going to take this, turn it, drop it inside there, and this is a centrifuge. So it works on centrifugal force. Okay, close the lid. This is a hand crank model. They make a motorized, electrical. Got some tonnage in there, folks. Yeah, it is. Again, I've never done this, so I have no idea what we're going to see come out of here. It's got to be the speed. Ah, we got honey, baby. Let's keep doing it. Yeah, you can see it dripping. That's why they make them motorized. And I'm going to think, though, once you get the weight of the honey on the bottom of the barrel, it changes the whole dynamic. Till then, I think you're filling up a little there, my friend. Let's see what happens. 26.5 months I have waited for that beautiful stuff right there. Wow. Wow. And there's no other way to get it. There's fancier machines, there's this, there's that, but you have to wait. Mother Nature's got this stuff. Only one with the recipe. Oh yeah. All right. And these sieves, if you'll notice, there's two of them. I have a thicker and a thinner one.
Yeah.
The first one's just going to catch the wax cappings, but the second one is actually any bug wings or legs or anything, trying to really get the cleanest honey. Nothing more impressive than when you hold up a jar to the light and see a beautiful, nothing but golden honey. So you do have to do a little extra work. It takes a little more time, but the end results, when you put it in the jar, it works out fine. All right, well, I jumped right into the process, so I didn't take the time to show you some of the other tools. I'm fortunate enough to have the electric melting knife, but in a substitute, when you want to get the wax capping off, a simple sharp knife or even sometimes a serrated knife will work. There'll be other cappings on the wax. They're little hexagons, so sometimes just a knife won't get them and you want to get in there and get as much honey as you can. It's called a capping fork. And that'll help me to puncture the wax cappings and extract even more of the honey. And again, very similar to the wax fork, a small wax scraping tool will also help me to remove the wax and get to more of the honey. Some of your more commercialized beekeepers, larger production, you'll use handles like that for grabbing frames when you're working with the bees. Other things we're going to use for jarring is a good funnel. We have more labels, and there are many different labels you can buy at the store. Glass jars available just about anywhere, your local hardware store. As you see, I've got a whole variety, everything from plastic squeeze bottles to large and to small 1-pound jars. Caps included. The one thing I do learn about using bottles and consuming honey, young families using large jars with spoons and children with food, they're going to end up in your jars. I personally prefer glass, but if you have an active family and the kids are eating honey every day, there would be nothing better, plus the amount of honey that they'll use versus dipping a spoon or trying to pour from a large container. They now make plastic squeeze bottles, which become much more efficient. An average bottle of honey, $10 to $15, depending on where you live. If a family consumes this very quickly, they're not likely to buy more honey. But yet, same size package, if I can make this last 3 or 4 times longer, a couple of weeks, it's a pleasure to have around. The kids love putting it on their cereal, their toast, their bagels, whatever they like to eat. I now am in the habit of eating it every day. I don't mind putting my honey in the plastic jar because I consume it quickly. If you're going to keep your honey around for a long time, the glass jars are still the best. Again, the honey goes back to ancient Egyptian times. It preserves itself. It's one of the most amazing substances. The rumors are that the ancient Egyptians found honey when they entombed said mummies. It's a valuable commodity. It's a great source of energy. It's a healthy snack. I use it sometimes as a filler as I'm going out the door. I think I'm a little hungry. I take a teaspoon of honey with me. I knock it down, wash it down with a glass of water. You'll find there's very many different flavors, depending where you live, depending on the season, the flowers, wherever the honey comes from. But be adventurous. Try new honeys. Go buy honey wherever you go on a trip. Pick up a jar of honey, bring it home with you. Test it, see if you like it. And like I've done over the years, I've collected, these jars are all jars that I have consumed of honey over the past 2.5 years since I've started this adventure. So this is really just my personal collection of consumed jars with a few that I bought and that were given to me as I started my trade. Again, this part of it is probably your most expensive. An extractor's a couple $100. This is a very simple unit, as you see. It takes a little bit of work, and the first time I used it, so I'm going to have to come up with a better system to secure it. But as we see, it does do the job. They come with electric motors. They come bigger, smaller, plastic. You can get them as small as a 5-gallon pail. I happen to make my own portable capping station. It's a very simple tool. It just catches the extra wax so that you don't have to filter as much. And then I've designed a filter system so the honey will drain into my bucket and I get every little bit that I can. Your frames, of course, all come with your woodwork when you buy your original hives. Jars are reasonable. And again, you'll buy what you need. It's a great hobby. The winters are long. It fills my time. I still have to take care of my hives. I read, I go to bee meetings, and bee clubs are active all winter. I encourage you to, if you're interested, find a bee club in the winter this winter. If you're bored and you want a hobby, to please go listen. And if you have any interest, I do believe that you'll find beekeeping something that might be for yourself.